Hello! We are in a new month and a new season, and with only 4 months left, it is easy to think, why even bother? This week, I am focusing on mindset, one of the key pillars of creating activation energy for success. And I'm talking about what is it that you can start doing in order to change your life for the better when you feel like you have no control. If you're joining me for the first time, welcome. I am Nandi, the founder of The Power of Fearless Living. I help entrepreneurs and women in business create their fearless life through building out activation energy, which consists of mindset, personal branding, and business strategies so that you can create success, see results, and build the business that you want. So, as I said, today we're talking about how you can create change in order to see a better life and to see success. I have seen a lot of social media posts of wake me up in 2021 or can it be the end of 2020 and so much more. And an eerie feeling came up, deja vu if you will. And it's because I saw almost exactly the same posts, the same memes, the same social content this time last year. People felt 2019 was tough, and about the same time as now, I was seeing similar posts throughout my social feed. Memes of how can the year end now and how bad the year was, and thanks, bye, next. Looking forward to 2020. And then, well, we all know what happened in 2020. And now this year is labeled as bad and the worst year, and it should rather just end. And yes, it has been a doozy. But the reality is we don't know what next year will bring either. Similarly, like we just never know what the next will bring. Next week, next month, next year, the next decade. It brings back another deja vu moment then, because throughout my life, and pop me a me too in the comments if this is how you feel. But throughout my life, I always held on to the next. When I'm out of primary school, high school will be so much better. Then high school came and it's like, I just need to make it to varsity and things will be better or different. Then in varsity, I just need to start my first job, get out of the house, and I will be able to make better decisions because I will be in charge of my life. The end of a not so great year sometimes. This year must just end and next year things will be better. I will be better. I will be different. Does this sound familiar? Is this a story that you've told yourself throughout your life and still do? In fact, it's Friday today, and don't we all live for Friday? So we wish our weeks away because thank goodness it's Friday and Friday and TGIF. So if you feel like this and if this resonates with you, pop a yes in the comments and let me know if you're on board or if I'm just the only one that feels like this. So basically, do you see the pattern here? The milestones in our lives are being used, well, for me and maybe for you too, as a way to become better. The time right now isn't working out the way I want it. So the next milestone will help me make the changes, be better, do better. But it never really changed, does it? Next week, next month, next year comes, and if I do not make the changes, how will change ever really happen? Because the passage of time simply cannot affect change into my mind, my life, my habits and decisions. That's where I come in. I'm in control of that, not the time that's passed. So how do we pull away from the cycle of next and move forward into the habits of now? Well, I think it starts with our mindset and focusing on what we can control. Because when we stop living for the next and start living for the now, we can start making different decisions, like choosing to take action now instead of next week and losing days of potential results. When we choose to make changes in our lives now instead of next month, especially the beginning of the month, we can see better results because there are more days. Results are not amplified because you started at the beginning of the week, or the month, or the year. It is created by starting now and consistently working and focusing on where you want to be. It's not like the results are going to say, wait, hold up, there, just a second. It's the middle of the day. It's the middle of the week or the month. So yeah, we're on pause until the 1st, until the next week, until the beginning. So don't even bother. Results don't do that. You do that. I do that. And we need to start changing it. Barack Obama said, change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change we seek. If you agree with that, pop a fire emoji in the comments, because some amazing content is coming your way. Because how do we start creating change then? Well, we need to believe we can change. No more excuses such as I am too old, too far down this path, too long been doing this specific thing. Cliches like you can't teach an old dog new tricks, or a leopard never changes its spots, or the wolf changes his coat but not his character, are what keeps us stuck in a fixed mindset instead of thriving in a growth mindset, which helps us understand that we can create change if we are prepared to put in the effort. And sometimes it also means if we are prepared to take on a different way of thinking, a different way of looking at things, and a different way of doing things. So once we accept that we can change and focus on having a growth mindset, and I chatted a bit about what is a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset last week. I'll pop a link to that video in the comments. So when we start thinking about the growth mindset, we can see that we can follow some simple steps to help us further along this journey. And it starts with small changes in habits, but also understanding, accepting, and welcoming failure as part of the game. Because learning what doesn't work leads us to see how things can work out if we apply a different perspective or strategy. Similarly, I guess the concept of I don't know what I do like, but I do know what I don't like. And that's a good starting point as well. So there you have then the key thing you need in order to start changing your life for the better. And that is mindset. But what specific things can you start doing now to start seeing the changes and creating the changes for the better life you want? Well, if you're still with me and you want to know what these steps are, put a yes in the comments so that I know it's resonating with you. And I'm going to start sharing those 5 small things you can do to start creating change. So, number 1, you need to focus on reprogramming your thoughts for positive and grateful thinking. But not all that nonsense about always think positive you have heard so much about. No. Reprogramming your thoughts for positive and grateful thinking means you focus on what you do have and start becoming grateful for it in an active and mindful manner. And we move away from the thoughts of what we don't have. Think about it this way. Every time you see a social post of someone you know sharing a picture of themselves in, for example, their beautiful home, what do you immediately think? Damn, Susan, and that stunning house she has. I mean, look at the beautiful windows, the light, that well-manicured garden. I wish we had that. I wish our kitchen was so perfect with all the latest gadgets. And immediately, you are focusing on what you don't have. And you go down a spiral of negative thoughts. And you're focusing on everything you have done wrong to not have the things that somebody else does. You start looking at ways to blame your situation or your past or people around you. You start making excuses. Or for some people, you even start going on a spending spree to make yourself feel better. But what if you focused on what you do have? You look at that same image and think, well done, Susan. Her house is stunning. And you know what? So is mine. I have such a busy life with kids, with a job, with a husband, and I still manage to do or have X, Y, and Z. I'm so grateful I am able to have this, do this, manage this. And you go down a whole different spiral instead. So with this comes two extra things. Firstly, stop comparing yourself to others. And with social media, that is very difficult. And that's why you need to start this reprogramming of your thoughts and your gratitude attitude. But then also, another thing you have to start doing is exchange complaining to express gratitude. And you do this with small things. A gratitude journal. I've mentioned this a lot because this is really what has helped me in my life. Then you also need to start surrounding yourself with the right people so that you can start having conversations that are not negative, but are more focused towards the positive and the gratitude element. Have time off social media so you can stop comparing yourself to others. And have time out to focus on the beauty of what you do have around you. And then also start becoming aware of your thoughts so you can stop the negative thoughts before they become worse. So that's number one. Number two is you want to focus on what you want to focus on to help you create change is giving yourself more time. Oh my goodness. How do I do that? Listen up. We all know that there is only so many hours in a day, and that is never enough. Well, an interesting quote I heard from two amazing ladies I follow is, you have the exact same amount of hours in a day as Beyonce does. Or exchange Beyonce for any person that you admire, a mentor or a figure that you feel does have it all. You have the same amount of hours in your day as they do. So why can they achieve greatness and you can't? So not enough time actually is simply an excuse. And I'm hard on you because it really is. I choose. Yes, I'm going to repeat that. We choose what we spend our time on. And this counts if you're in a career, having your own business, a mom, a new wife. You choose what you spend your time on and what you make a priority. Because everything in your life is based on the priority level you give it. And similarly, you can choose to assign a different level of priority and importance to the various elements in your life. I use a simple method called the Eisenhower matrix, which is based on important versus urgent. And it's where you create a 4-block grid and you map out this for yourself. What is important and urgent? What is not important but urgent? What is important but not urgent? What is not important and not urgent? And when you do this, you start becoming more aware of the importance that you assign certain things. And is it possible to change how you think about those things? I will leave a link in the comment with the image so you can see what this looks like and you can go and do this for yourself. So if you know you can choose what you spend your time on, what is another thing you can do to create a bit more time for yourself? This is not going to be popular, but it works. And that is wake up half an hour earlier. Just 30 minutes. Taking that time to do some things for yourself or get things done that you don't usually get to, or having that time when the husband or the kids are not awake yet so that you can focus on yourself is very important. There are also different methods for productivity that can come into play here, but I will leave that for another day. Just start with 30 minutes extra a day so that you can get into the habit of working on your priority list so that you can start creating more time for yourself. Okay, if you're still with me, please send me a WhatsApp emoji, a hi emoji, a fire emoji, anything to tell me that you're still with me and that so far this is resonating with you. Do you think you can implement these two steps so far? I think you can. I know you can. So let's move on to number 3. A big thing I find that holds me back from change is procrastination, and especially putting off the things I don't want to do. So if you have now done the previous exercise and looked at your Eisenhower matrix, you will now know if this thing you are putting off is actually supposed to be on your priority list. So if it's not, then bye-bye. If it is, we need to focus on it. And the reality is you simply have to get it done, and get it done as quickly as possible. Tackle it, get it over and done with and out of your head and off your to-do list. A way to achieve this is the 5-second rule that Mel Robbins talks about, and I've also mentioned this in some of my previous videos. Basically, the 5-second rule is count backwards from 5, and when you come to 1, you have to do something. Have an action associated with 1 and do it. Don't think about it, because that way your mind doesn't have the time to think and override you with excuses. And that way you get more things done. So on to number 4. Another small change you can implement is to become more spontaneous, or at least being less predictable. On a big scale, this means starting to step out of your comfort zone. On a small scale, things like have tea instead of coffee, or sit outside when you're eating lunch instead of sitting in the break room, or wearing a new lipstick color, or styling your hair differently. Just making small, different decisions on otherwise predictable behavior. Why do I say this? This creates a pattern in your brain that it starts seeing that when you make different choices, it isn't bad or scary. Because as human beings, we are prone to predictable behavior because we have an evidence log that shows us this behavior gives us this results with this consequences, which means it's safe. So don't try something new because you don't want to upset the safe fear factor. But by starting small, you start building up a new evidence log, which shows your brain, oh, if I do something different, doesn't mean something bad will happen. And therefore, you can then move on to bigger decisions, such as offering to do that presentation in front of the group, if you are not usually somebody that would speak up in front of other people, or being confident by putting up your hand and giving a new idea. See how that can start leading to new things, and then you can start becoming spontaneous because your brain is telling you doing something new and different isn't that scary anymore. Then we're on to the last and most important factor that I believe can help you create change, and that is know and then establish your boundaries. Or simply put, don't overcommit. Know that every time you say yes to one thing, you are saying no to something else. And similarly, when you start saying no, you can start saying yes to good things. Because when you respect yourself to know what you can and cannot do, or what you are capable or not capable of, others can learn to do the same. A simple example I always use, and this was a reality for me, is emails. When we are always available, always respond immediately, and always give the person on the other end what they need right away, are you not telling them, in essence, that you are always available and thus always at their beck and call? Would they then not start to expect that and message you anytime because that is what you have now taught them is acceptable to you? By simply saying or replying, "Hi, I have received your email. I cannot action this right now. Do you mind if I respond by end of day or 11 o'clock tomorrow?" You are saying your time is also valuable and you are also busy with other things. 9 out of 10 times, and this is from my own experience as well as other people that I have talked to that have implemented this, the other person says, "Oh, sure, it wasn't that urgent anyway." And they probably say, "Get back to me by the end of the week." So you have established that you have boundaries, you have worth, you know what your worth is, and you have put that out there so that they can see that too. That is usually the case. Obviously, sometimes it's not, but that is with different exceptions. And therefore, by knowing your boundaries and setting those boundaries, others can learn what to expect from you. They also learn that you value your worth, and thus they can value your worth as well. That was a lot to take in, I know. So let me recap. How can we create change to start living in the now and seeing results? Well, we focus on changing our mindset to accept and know that we can create change. Then we start small and implement small changes so we can condition our mind to believe we can do it and thus be able to create even bigger changes down the line. The 5 ways to start creating change is: reprogram your thoughts for positive and grateful thinking. Give yourself more time by prioritizing. Stop putting off the big things or the things you don't want to do. Be less predictable and set your boundaries. So start small, start seeing the change, and don't wait until tomorrow or next week, because you can step into your power and live your fearless life right now.